So before it was, then you can see what I'm talking.
Okay, great.
Okay, so it's this version. It was right here, um, in this sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So this research will be scientifically published and published on Gravity Medium. And then you wrote down when it's ready, this research will be published on academic platform.
Yes, and you suggest that the first version was better,
Um,
or the second one?
I think we can also say that we will be posted on Gravity Medium.
Okay, so on academic platform and Gravity Medium, or
Yeah.
okay.
So we can say when the study is ready.
Uh-huh. You're right. Okay, great.
And the research is done, it will be published on academic platform and on the Gravity Medium. Does it make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and here at our team, do you
Mhm.
think we should say more?
Okay, so let me go back. We are two women with a background in psychology involved in a toy space. We can wait to take on new challenges and come up with useful solutions for the entire Web3 community. Um, should we say,
I mean, do you think that we should mention the fact that we are geographically distributed? I mean, you're from Brasilia and I'm from Europe, Romania. And do you think that we should mention this?
mm, I don't think that's relevant, really, because like that's Web3, right? We are not from the same place.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Other ideas?
I was wondering if we should say that we are psychology students, but I think saying that
With
we
a
have a
background?
background in psychology, maybe it sounds better because like I'm gonna graduate the end of this year anyways.
Yeah,
Uh, so I'm not gonna be a student anymore, and we don't know like how long this will be out there.
yeah. And yeah, I think that this is much better, a
Yeah,
background in psychology.
that's what I was like taking some time to reflect on.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think it sounds better.
Or maybe here we should add involved in the DAO space for and mention a period or something. What do you think?
Say in the Aragon slide we wrote down this little thing, researcher, co-leader. I don't know if we can use some of this.
And mention our real names.
Maybe we say that we are like mental health, I don't know, caregivers. I'm trying to think about like a better way to say it. Let me go through this document and see what we can find here. Say that we promote mental health around DAOs.
Since March this year
Huh?
or something like that. I was
Say-
thinking, I have a question. How long have you been in the DAO space? I think we should mention that we are in the DAO space for X time or something.
Mhm. I started being involved in last September. So almost a year.
September 2021, right?
Yeah, almost a year now.
Uh, I'm involved since June 2020, but we we will wrote something. Mm,
We say like we are into yes, tech about promoting mental health
in DAOs.
in DAOs.
So Durgadas, how are you doing?
Hmm?
I saw Durgadas joined, and I said, "Hello, Durgadas. How are you doing?"
Hi, Durgadas.
Hi there.
We are polishing our description of the grant that we want to upload for the grant in Gitcoin.
Oh,
We
okay. Neat.
we are writing down about ourselves.
All right. Well, it doesn't sound like I could really add to that.
Yeah, if you have You can help us. We are trying
How
to.
can I describe you two?
How would you describe us? If you could talk about us.
Yes, please say it.
It's hard. It's hard for us to talk about ourselves.
Well, um, yeah, I mean, I don't really hear too much from the school side of the picture, if you know what I mean. Like, oh, there's Manu.
Hi Manu, how are you?
Following each other around in meetings this morning.
Yeah. Hi, Bianca. Hi, Dubas. Hi, Anna. Yeah, I've never come to one of these, so I thought I'd join and see what you guys are up to.
Yeah, you are very welcome. So right now, we are writing down the description of the grant that we want to put on Gitcoin.
Okay.
And we are asking Durgidas to help us describe us.
Well, so I I feel inadequate to that task somehow today, but let's think about it. Well, I'm not entirely sure that I've ever fully connected with an explanation about what your motivations were for getting into psychology in the first place. So maybe you might just talk in this meeting about what those things are, and then I mean, I've had a certain experience, probably more experience with Bianca than with Anne, but yeah, maybe then I could properly respond to why did you start to get into this? So when you're thinking about going to school for something, why did you pick this? So maybe start with Anne because I know her less well.
Sounds good. Anna, you have the mic.
Okay. So in psychology was obvious for a long time, but I ignore it. I also studied University of Letters, some English literature and boring stuff for me. And yeah, I'm fascinated about people, and my hobby is reading. Um, I read every day. I love books. I'm a I don't know, a classic person in many ways. Yeah, I don't know. I hope you will work with me and you will discover me more because I'm an introvert and it's very hard for me to describe myself. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as a person on the autism spectrum, I feel that inner world thing. So I actually think it's quite beautiful that you have two people who maybe are, at least to me, have a sort of an inward facing and an outward facing, approach to things. So perhaps the fact that you guys have that, is a complementary thing for the two of you working together on that project. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to reflect, maybe something that might make sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I think both Anna and I, we both care a lot.
So, classic caring profession archetypes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, it's interesting though to see that it's two women, and the way that you guys talk about that though is you're talking about it in a bit of a male expressed fashion. So, very scientific and very data and analyzing and this kind of thing. So maybe you can talk about that contrast as well, just as a way of reflecting on your own process.
So, like, we are two women.
Yeah, so I'm just suggesting that, all the big names in psychology, they're all men, right? But at the same time, caring profession things are almost completely dominated by women, uh, in terms of sheer numbers, right? So, so what I'm saying is basically, you know, even science is often done in this very masculine way, right? It's all driven by numbers, and science has also got a profoundly male bias to it. So I do wonder, what drew you to, you know, this sort of science-based approach. Um, is that just like a veneer for the deeper exploration that you guys want to have about things? You know, where do you
Yeah,
want to go from here? Is what I'm saying. Because generally, if you're writing a grant proposal, you're going to need to be like, having like steps, right? Like
yeah.
uh, not just this thing, but why is it that you guys are uniquely qualified to, to do this thing, and what is it, you know, how is it that you work together? So sometimes, like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they worked uniquely well together and created a certain kind of, duality that then created Apple Computer. You see what I'm saying? So writing grants is often about, creating a narrative, and so I'm just trying to explore, those kinds of things. It could be part of your motivation comes from, well, I'm seeing a lot of, male focused ways of approaching this topic, and I thought, us two women together could, create a, I don't know what your motivations are, I'm just probing for them, so.
Yeah, I have a question. Durgadas, have you heard of anima and animus, a
Sure.
concept
Yep.
discovered by Carl Jung?
Yep.
Yeah, I think, yeah, or just to say it for everyone, uh, the anima and animus stuff,
By the
it
way, you're
refers
breaking up
to,
quite a lot, so I don't know if it's your microphone or placement, but I'm having a hard
okay,
time hearing. Yeah.
do you hear me better now?
Yeah, definitely.
Great, it's my mic, sorry. Yeah, on that part, every man has a male and a female part inside, and I think that these sides develop and gives us directions in many aspects of life. And yeah, I think that's why now woman can work today. Today women can work what men work, and I think maybe it's something related to woman rights too, because yeah, the history was bad for us. Yeah, and also Durga Das, I think I will need your opinion on the analysis of the survey data after we collected the data.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I'm
think
happy to
we will
answer
need
that.
your opinion too, if you have time, of course.
So would it be fair to say that that your exploration of the DAO space, given that it is hopefully a more egalitarian sort of social movement away from the extractive and the exploitative, that having two women exploring the psychology space in Web3 and in DAOs seems like the kind of thing that should happen now, given the growth of the culture and this being one of those sorts of things, right? So it seems appropriate to me, right? Just on the surface of it, that you would have you guys exploring that. So yeah, so that is a narrative thing. Also, if you take a look at some representations of the anima and animus, you've got the Caedicus, the staff with the two snakes going around, and one of them is supposedly a male energy and a female energy. In order for health, you need kind of a balance of both, right? So
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that because this last Saturday I just got a new tattoo. And
uh-huh.
I want to show to you
Oh,
because it represents the feminist. I don't know if you
ah,
can really see it.
okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah. hmm
It's the
So it's like
feminist
a
symbol.
flower. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the thing in the middle?
And it has a box. So it's a flower because we are still feminine,
hmm
even though
Mhm.
we are feminist, and we expand outside the box.
hmm
And this is the feminist symbol with a hand like this,
Oh.
means
Uh-huh.
fierce.
Uh.
And it's in red because we bleed every month.
Very symbolistic. I love it.
that
I love it.
Yeah,
that's
and I
yeah,
draw
that's
I draw it myself.
That's
So
oh, you
great.
did. Oh.
it's very interesting that you just say that. It's like two women doing that in this space.
hmm
I thought it was very, very
Yeah,
interesting.
that's very interesting. So yeah, I'm just asking really general questions. I'm just trying to, just prompt you guys into some. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
I think it makes sense. Because actually,
because you do need a narrative thing to anchor this, if you know what I mean. So what your motivations are, not just that we're just two random women showing up in this space, and because it's new, we're going to shovel money at you. That could happen, right? But it's going to be more powerful if you have a narrative anchor, and then be like, well, these are also really. Why wouldn't you? Because they're this person with this narrative, and it's also in a new, innovative space, and why not? Do you see what I'm saying? So I just feel like you'd have more chance for getting funding if you had both sides for that picture.
yeah. Um, so we would like write down, I don't know, like I don't know how to write that down though. Like,
So I guess what I'm trying to suggest is that you. So is this funding thing that you're trying to do the grant? Is it a grant that's coming from your school, or is it coming from like an educational institution? What's the place where it's coming from, right? So the reason why I asked the question is, like, if I'm going for a job interview, right, I'm going to do a lot of research on the company, right, so that I can speak relevant things about my ability to fit into that situation, right? So everything is narrative. So everything is narratives. It's like psychology, it's narratives. It's, like somebody's got an unhealthy narrative on top of, you know, the actual reality, right? And that creates a delta between, reality and their thoughts. And so now we have psychological problems. Similarly, I don't want to be in a situation where there's a gap between who you're asking for, money from to to the thing that you're saying to them, right? So that's all I'm pointing out.
I think Anna has more experience on that, so I'm gonna leave it to her to answer that question.
And also, I've never seen Anna on video ever.
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
No, I wonder why that is. Sometimes
She's
Yeah,
shy.
I can turn my camera right now.
you don't have to. I
Told
just I
you,
just I just wondered.
told you why, because I'm introverted and I hate it.
I see. Okay, well that's fine. That's fine.
I'm a
So
real person. You thought that
okay,
I'm a bot?
I'm not pressuring you. I just never once seen you on, so I just didn't know.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm not pressuring you. You can turn it off again. I just, it was a thing I wished for. So I don't know why.
Okay.
So
So let me answer your question. Uh, our goal is to develop an app related to mental health, and we want funding from Gitcoin in educational purpose and social Web3. And we will publish the study as students, as DAO contributors, and we will use the Gravity Twitter page and the TEC website with work streams and our Gitcoin and GitHub accounts, personal accounts. So our purpose is educational and related to medicine and mental health. I think that's the areas.
I guess what I'm trying to get you guys to do is, when I deal with people in marketing and communications, there are two things. One is the features, right? So this car goes so fast, it has so many horsepower, it has leather seats, it has this, it has that, right? So when I ask you about, you know, the benefit portion of this, right, which is what I'm trying to get to. So what does it actually do for the person, right? So if you purchase a Rolls Royce, the primary reason why you buy a Rolls Royce is because it has a certain kind of name. There's a certain amount of prestige. You feel secure in the fact that you spent more money than you should have to for the same car because it's this kind of bespoke artisan piece of thing, and it's something you can drive around in, right? So the benefit to the person is that they feel better about their purchase, they feel better about themselves, they feel better socially and their peers. They pull up to a restaurant and get their picture taken with a Rolls Royce is a different feeling that they're going to have. That's a benefit to them, right? The fact that the thing has, super quiet and has, so much horsepower and this and that and all these different features, that's a completely different thing. So what I'm trying to get you guys to do is to think in terms of, when you're writing a Gitcoin grant, why is somebody going to give you money? It's because how it benefits them to some degree, right? How it aligns with Gitcoin's mission, and the people who you're going to ask to actually contribute money, they're going to want to know how it aligns. So they're going to want to know. Some people are going to want to know why should I give money to you two? Some people are going to want to know why I want to give money for this particular type of thing. right? Some people are going to want to know what are all the features and underlying things, but the fact is, there's only like 5% of all people um, who give money to anything, whether that's through a purchase or anything else, give money because you are going to have an app or whatever. Do you see what I mean? What they want to know is how it's going to benefit them or how it aligns with their own, individual thing. And so I'm just getting you to maybe take a look and develop this idea about what a benefit is versus a feature, and it might help you in writing your grant.
I really appreciate your opinion, and you're a really, really smart person. And yeah, that's the way it has to be done. But let me tell you something. First of all, there is no grant related to psychology because I personally worked at Gitcoin for 8 months.
Oh, okay.
On the grant side, I reviewed and verified thousands of grants, and
Mm,
no one grant was related to psychology.
mhm,
And for a Gitcoin grant to be approved, it must meet three criteria. One, to be a public good. Two, to be an open source project. And
mhm,
three, to be real founders, not bots. And our purpose is to eliminate the stigma related to mental health and going to a psychologist. And we want to do this through an application. And also, this app will have a social function. And yeah,
mhm. Okay. Well, that was
but your way of thinking is very sharp.
oh,
Great.
thanks. Yeah, I was really so I'm not as concerned with whether it's accepted or not. I just would love you guys to be wildly funded. Do you know what I mean? And for everybody who read it, go, oh yes, I'm definitely doing that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I guess, um, yeah, that's all I'm kind of going for. So whether the grant is or isn't approved by Gitcoin, that's maybe the lowest bar. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to think what could make it so that you guys could sort of wildly succeed. And so I'm trying to pull out what could be that. So that's all I'm thinking about.
So thinking if we receive too much funding, um, we will use the money for other gravity projects. And yeah, it's a win-win.
I was also thinking, are we gonna sync the Gravity wallet to it? How we're gonna do that part? Because doesn't it need a wallet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or
Maybe we can create a new one,
a
or maybe we
multi-sig
can.
wallet?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we probably need to talk with Juan about that, but you certainly could create another one and maybe just include people from Gravity on the multi-sig so that there's a kind of crossover there, you know, if you need it to be
Yeah,
independent.
because I think I personally reviewed the gravity and
Hmm.
from the last.
I do not know why you fade out so much. I didn't hear the last part of what you're saying.
said I said that I personally reviewed the gravity grant before I was involved in gravity.
Hmm.
I think that the gravity wallet is synced with that brand, and it's okay not to use the same.
Okay. So I can tell you that my personal experience um, of uh, of the work that you're doing, and specifically Bianca, in terms of uh, the caring and the listening and the ability to see and sort of understand. Like personally, when I've been going through difficulties, you've always had time for me in that sense. So I guess I should maybe say that I've felt cared for, and even though Anna, because she's very introverted, I can see that maybe this is your way of sort of caring for the world in your way, which is maybe quieter than most, but I fully understand that, just because I have two aspects of my personality too. I have an outward facing, you know, person, and then I have the person that's hiding away, in many ways, and just wants to think and know things inside of myself, right? And so, um, and it does maybe, I don't know, but I feel like it's been a good thing to be able to have a coherent inner narrative, and then when I go to externalize that narrative, then I have something more intelligent to say, and thinking about how to process it in such a way that I can communicate it to other people. So maybe I'm projecting, but I would like to say that I heard maybe that from you today, Anna, that maybe this is your way of getting that across. So it may be that um, yeah, I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense at all, to be honest, but just
Yeah, I
trying
got
to
it.
listen.
It's okay. Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same.
So I don't know if there's any sort of narrative way of explaining that, right? Um, so to say you're two women with a background in psychology uh, maybe is okay. To say you're enthusiastic, sure, that's nice. We're both caring people, but maybe describe yourselves in less uh, archaeological terms. Like instead of digging through the bones of the of the people who used to live here, you're yourselves, right? So like maybe drop your objectivity for a sentence and give people some juice, about why you're actually alive and living and breathing and care, just to say we are caring is different than demonstrating care, right? And I feel like you guys have both
Yeah,
demonstrated care toward me personally and toward the overall Dow space and gravity and other things. And you keep showing up and you keep volunteering, for things. And so, you know, um, that speaks to your motivation and everything. But the stuff that you've written so far, I don't think acknowledges my experience of you. So I'm just maybe saying, you know, maybe for a sentence, um, or maybe the beginning sentence, to say something that's a little bit more show, don't tell, if you know what I mean.
How would you suggest us to write it down then? Because I don't know how to do that, to be honest. I don't know how to write it down.
Mhm. Can you send me a link
Sure.
to this? So Anna, when you get um, when you get Gitcoin funding requests like this one, or for grants, right? Are you looking for a what do you want to say, a sanitized explanation about what this is? Or I don't understand exactly what's going on here, so I apologize if I'm just blathering on like an idiot. I really don't know exactly what's happening here, but um,
Yeah, and how they're gonna know that I'm a real person because I never post anything on GitHub.
Do you have a picture?
Huh?
Do you have a profile picture?
Yes, I do.
But it's okay. Even if you have almost no contribution, um, it's logical because you are working in psychology field, not in programming stuff, and you know, if
Because
if
I'm
you
not
have
so active.
it
Like
doesn't matter. I thought with many DAOs per survey.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, you were dropping out really bad just then.
Now you can hear me now.
Huh.
I really need to change this mic. Okay.
Can I ask another question? I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
Say something just not to forget it.
I just couldn't hear what she was saying.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Great. So psychologists have nothing to do with developers and those kind of domains, right? Okay, so if we have Gitcoin and GitHub a profile picture with real persons, have few contributions because our background is in blah blah blah, it's okay. You're a real person and it's okay. And if they want to test it, they will send you a message and you will need to text them back on Twitter. And yeah, if
Oh,
you're a scammer or a bot or a harmful person, they will catch you.
okay.
I work there and I catch a lot of people. A lot of Asians, man, a lot of Asians. I'm not
Wow.
a racist of something, but a lot of Asians.
I know. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
I have more questions about this.
It's a big, sorry, Durga, and it's a big plus for that we are part of tech because in Gitcoin view, tech it's a great DAO. It's useful for the Web3 community, and yeah, they are supporting tech. I've
okay. All right. If they're gonna check with me, then okay, we're good. I can
yeah,
video
yeah,
call them. They'll see them real. All right.
yeah. So Durga, as you tell me your question.
So, so the purpose of this particular Gitcoin grant is to get funding for the psychology tool. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay. So, and so is this we're doing this as a gravity thing? We're doing you two are doing this specifically because I noticed that they were saying we are two women with a background in psychology. Okay, so that's your whole team, or is because I'm in this meeting, am I on the team? Like how because you're having meetings in the gravity. I'm a little confused. I think it might make sense in some way to think about you people are the two leads who are sort of creating a team of people to contribute to the creation of the tool. Do you follow me? So, to say that you're like, leading is different than to say, we're the ones who are making the app. Like, I don't know if you guys have development experience like in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to say, like maybe I mean, I would help in any way that I knew how to help. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I would be okay to, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's okay to say that um, the narrative voice of this psychology tool is being driven from female perspective with, this kind of thing, but it doesn't need to be, all women participating in it. Or do you see what I'm saying? So maybe to say that you're, being a bit
If
more
you
inclusive.
if you read the first part,
Ah,
Bianca, can you scroll it, please? At
yeah,
about,
I've got it open. So
we are mentioning gravity
gravity down.
Tao and what it's doing, and
I
after
see.
that, we are mentioning that we are part of gravity Tao.
Okay. Yeah.
And as I told you before, if we are receiving more funding that we need it for the
Mhm.
app to pay the developer, the graphic
Sure.
designer, etc.,
Yeah.
we will use those funds for gravity projects. Yeah,
Okay.
of course, we are part of it.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I just, yeah, there may be a
The idea,
better.
like, that we are kind of like a working group inside of Gravity, like Gravity
I see.
is
Yeah.
easy.
Okay. Yeah, it
So
might be better to frame it that way, if you know what I'm saying. To say we have a, um, the primary movers of the psychology working group inside of the Gravity DAO are us. Do you know what I'm saying? So just to contextualize it, so that, and we'll use, everybody we know from Gravity to, kind
mhm.
of, so it might, give a feeling of a broader base of things. Do you know what I mean? And so I would say that the reason why I would want to participate with you in this group, or be motivated to do so, would be to further the existing effort. Do you see what I'm saying? So just like the reason why both Juan and I want to, and have wanted to help with all of this psychology stuff, is because we feel that it is directly connected to the mission of Gravity as a whole, right? And so just saying so would be a nice thing, I think.
Yeah, I don't think the idea is to disconnect from Gravity,
Mhm.
but I think saying that like we are two women, I think I compliment here. I put like leading this initiative.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So I think it makes more sense now. It's because like yeah, we are from Gravity, but like we are
Yeah.
kind of like a portion of Gravity. So we're not like it's
Sure.
not the entire team of Gravity doing this.
Yeah. I get it.
So it's like it's kind of I don't know if I would say like the working group. I would say like the maybe the research group,
Mhm.
the psychology research group.
Mhm.
And then kind of like what we had here like in the original document on the observational research in the very beginning, like one of the first calls that we had. Um that we put like
Mhm.
the team and the contributors.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So maybe we can like reframe this because maybe it's not like the best way to name it.
Mm.
Maybe that's why it's like the language confusion.
Yeah. No, I
It's
mean,
in there.
that's what I'm trying to clarify, right? Is that they're uh so I guess what I'm saying is that there are two things that I want to say. Is number one is you're a part of the Gravity DAO, right? So to say that the whole team is this way, but to say whoever's primarily driving it is just to be experienced, if you know what I mean, by the individuals who are kind of working in this, right? So I have a certain amount of like technical architecture experience, which would probably be very helpful in the technical phase of creating the app. Do you know what I mean? There are no code ways to go about doing that, but if you want to add a little bit of code, maybe, adding in a certain kind of developer, might be helpful, right? So my whole thing is all about, the structure of knowledge, So that includes technical things and psychological things. So now the other thing is that this all still sounds very much research focused, right? So is that what this is, or is this like a one-off thing where you're like, okay, now we did this, we did a survey, now we're just changing the platform of what the survey was doing? Do you know what I'm saying? So we can get more survey results, So is that what this Get
Yeah.
Point grant is for? Is for to change the platform, but the overall research thing is
No, it's
emphasis is
like
the same.
after the research and after the study,
Mhm,
after we're done with a study and we published and everything, like after that part is done,
mhm.
we want to create a tool. We want like to use that information and do something with it.
Okay.
So it's where this money, um, it's gonna like do something,
Okay.
right? So we're gonna develop this tool, but we already want to start moving in that direction because we're not gonna raise that money in 1 month.
Right.
And
Well,
we know,
the reason why I asked the question is because if you say expectations of the study, right, that sounds to me very much like um, a larger version of the survey. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's why I'm asking the question.
yeah,
So,
because it's not done yet.
okay. So, yeah. So this would be more like a phase two uh, of your larger part of the process.
Yeah, because the study is not done yet. So
Mhm.
once
Okay.
like yeah, and then the expectation, then when that's done, then we have the solution
Mhm. Well, what
that
I would say
really
then is
will.
it would be a very good thing narratively to say, having learned important information from our phase one survey of the DAO space, we've decided now to expand our thing into a larger, blah, blah, blah. Do you see what I mean? So, uh, you know, um, rather than just saying observational research consists of systematic observation, I might expand that to say, having done already, the survey and obtain, certain results, and we need to interpret those results and then reframe that into the creation of an app for a broader audience, right? Or having learned important lessons as a result of whatever we're doing, it might it makes sense now to do, step two of the process.
Yeah,
That's all I was saying.
that would be actually like step 3 because in step 2 it's reviewing the study.
Sure. So, um, so it's the idea, right? Well, I mean, you could just say, we're currently reviewing the, my point is that if you place this thing in context with a larger, studying thing, like we did this, and then we're analyzing results, and now we're going to do this next thing, So just to at least to go like I don't know, it's a I'm thinking of a Jurassic Park, right? where this guy has been funding these two people to look into dinosaurs for whatever, however long. And then, by the way, he's been creating also Jurassic Park on the side. And now, now I'm going to get you to come here and take a look at this thing that I made. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a different narrative thing to say, oh, by the way, we're engaged in this massive, sort of overriding project that we'll eventually want to expand into, maybe providing a tool for, every DAO, or maybe creating a Discord, bot where people can check in constantly, and we go and campaign through and create a Discord bot, try to give it as many communities as possible to get more data. And there are a lot of different ways you could go about, doing this from a platform standpoint. That's not just an app, right? So, have you talked to somebody like me, or did you just be like, "Hey, we should make an app because there may be a better way to get more information um, with the same, kind of information?" So, you may want to say one of the things that you're going to fund is our research into what is the most effective platform for us to get the best amount of data, from this. And so there's just a number of things I can think of here off the top of my head that I could do. Now that I know that it's a phase 2 thing, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. And that would actually motivate me in some way to contribute, I think, if I knew what the full story was. So I don't know if does that help? I don't know. Does it make any sense what I'm saying?
No, I think it does. I think it does make sense. Now I'm thinking about like reading everything again and um thinking like maybe reframing some parts, and maybe I don't know if Anna would agree with me on putting like, okay, so far we've done this, and then this was the phase 1, and now we are in phase 2.
So if I can just also
We're
point out
continuing in
that
phase 2.
you asked me to talk to you about, remember how I said show, don't tell, right? So one of the things that showing you have an ongoing effort to say our original, so we joined first of all the DAO. So you probably invested a year, right, up to now, to get to the point where we just got the survey. That's a huge investment of time, energy, and effort, right?
Yeah.
And the completion of phase 1 was the creation of that survey. So you have to include that entire year, right? So
Mhm.
now from that, now you're still here and you're still motivated. That's a show don't tell thing. I spent a year trying to figure out how this thing worked, and then I engaged with people and I've showed up and I've been consistent and everything. That's a show don't tell thing, right? So just to say that I have this ongoing project and we're increasingly ambitious about this, having learned what the needs of the DAOs are, through the year of investment that we've put into the token engineering commons. Now we learned important lessons, and then we created the survey, and then we'll analyze the data from that. But that's a perfect example of show don't tell. To say we're caring or whatever, you obviously care. You invested a freaking year just to create one simple survey, right? So that shows you care right there. You see what I'm saying? So I would be saying all of those things, right, to explain like, how much you've actually already put into this, and so yeah, just being transparent and revealing about your overall process. And so the way that I generally construct narratives is there's a discovery process. So you guys went through a discovery process. You showed up at this DAO, you didn't know anything about it, and you're like, hey, we're interested in psychology. How can what we're doing and what the DAO is doing connect? And oh, we just happen to have a gravity group, so now that makes sense. And you just happen to find people who are supporting you, in that gravity group, who understood that there was an obvious connection between psychology, conflict resolution, and trust creation. So now So, then what we did was collaborated with those people and created this survey. So what's the next thing? So what I typically do is say discovery, implementation, and then pie in the sky and everything else that you would ever do. So I would just chart out your phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 thing like that. It's always discovery, then implementation, and then everything else that you would ever want to do, right? And so it sounds like you've had that time, and I would be, narratively explaining some of that, in the grant, and I think it would be helpful to, get people to fully understand what you're doing, and it actually makes me understand, better what you've been doing here all this time, rather than just, yeah, I've been showing up, and you know, why do you keep showing up? I didn't know. I just know now, really. Do you know what I mean? So, um,
Um, okay, so it
so
makes
anyway, I
sense.
hope that's helpful. Yeah.
So now it makes sense that I'm saying, like, since December 2021, we were working on the creation of this research,
Yeah.
showing our idea of the implementation of psychology in Web3, gathering data and articles from different platforms, and collecting,
Integrating with the community, um, uh,
integrating.
gauging, the community's interest in, you know, this research.
What did
And
you
it's
say?
actually, I would say, gauging someone's interest. Like, so for example, here's another show don't tell thing, right? You showed up in our community and we cared about the thing that you cared about, right? Which is a thing for somebody who's going to invest money to say, oh, well, people before me have already actually cared about this. That's a kind of social proof, right? So you'd want to sort of show that, in fact, uh, this crazy idea you had about showing up in a DAO and doing research on it actually made sense to someone other than me, who is about to send you some money, right? That's a kind of social proof. So you definitely want to, somewhere include that in there as well.
Um, how am I gonna do that?
But by the way, I can help you in rewriting this a little bit so that it's a little less clunky. So
Yes,
maybe
please.
we can have another meeting before you send it off.
Um, and
So yeah, integrating with the community and finding that um, that our research and um, desire to provide psychological um, help to people in the DAO space was welcomed, So anyway, I'll help you with the rewriting of that some other time. I probably should get going soon, but um, I always feel like I'm maybe overdoing it here, but I can see that some of the challenges that you're having also, have to do with language, right?
yeah,
So that is an interesting problem.
interesting plan.
Well, yeah, just because they're just yeah, it's hard to say that as naturally as you would want, you know, because you're translating everything, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, I always think of classical musicians who get hired to play with like rock musicians. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it always feels like there's like the classical approach to the thing, but then when they show up, then they're supposed to be moving around the beat instead of being exactly on the beat. So that's often the problem that you see. So okay, so can I come back to this in a little bit, and maybe I can.
Yes,
What
sure.
I'll do is I'll just maybe copy the that paragraph. It would also, I think, help to have a little bit more information at the
You
top there.
can you can also you see like this thing over here?
Uh
You
huh.
can
Oh
come,
yeah, the suggesting. Yeah.
yeah, and then you can do whatever,
Mhm.
and then we'll see what you did.
Yeah, I would, like you can just say, you know, like that, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so, so let me just. Okay, so this is you have a deadline. Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Um, I think. How do I put a comment in here? I guess I can just. Oh, here we go.